This is Alan Bridges, who was the last Cooper at the Grimsby Ice Factory, also the last Cooper in Grimsby. Good morning, Mr.
Good
Bridges. Would you like to tell me how you came to be a Cooper?
Yes, well, my father was a Cooper. He served his time at Drury and Copeland's down the dock. And when I was a little lad, I used to go down there on the Saturday morning and not work with him, but watch them all work, because there was quite a few Coopers there. And what happened was that my granddad died, and he wanted time off to go to the funeral. This is 1935.
Mm-hmm.
And they was that busy, they said he couldn't have it off. But he took it off. And the next morning when he went back, they gave him the sack. And I went down with him to pick all his tools up. And coming back, we passed the ice house, which we saw the chief engineer, which was well known to my father and thing, was friends. And he says to him, "Hello, Bob, what's the matter?" And he says, "Well, you've just got the sack." He says, "Stop there." He said, "I'll go and see Mr. Fleming." And he came back about half an hour later and says, "Go up and see him." And I waited, and about a quarter of an hour later he come back. He said, "I've got the job."
Fantastic.
And it did a lot of harm to Drury and Copeland's, because they used to do all the ice barrels. And from then on, my father made them.
So was he the first Cooper at
The
Ice
house.
Factory? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right. They didn't have a Cooper before.
No, they
Right.
just bought them, you see.
Ah.
Yes. And they did them, he did himself a harm there.
So how many barrels a day did he make?
Well, for an 8 hours, it used to take an hour and a half to do one, right from starting, that's to get all the staves ready and things, to firing them and rehooping them and everything, took an hour and a half. So I used to do 5 a day.
And did you get them back? Would they go out and come back, or was there a deposit paid on them, or?
Oh no, they belonged to the ice house.
Ah, okay.
They had hundreds of them. And they was that busy, he used to work, but he used to work overtime. But it wasn't just say, "Oh, do this," it was make an extra barrel or make 2 extra barrels, and that's how it did. Mm-hmm. And eventually I went there as apprentice.
What year was that?
1937.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long was your apprenticeship?
Well, it was a 7-year apprenticeship, but I joined up during the war. But after the war I went back, and I had to do about another 2 or 3 years before I came under full money.
Who was it that decided that it was a 7-year apprenticeship for being a Cooper? Because I think it was like a 4-year apprenticeship for being an electrician or something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, but it was a 7-year before the war.
Right.
It was all the 7-year apprenticeships, you know, going back pre-war.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me again about the 7-year apprenticeships.
You know, pre-war, all apprenticeships was a 7-year apprenticeship, you know, for fitters and all trades. But after the war, it came down to 5-year.
Okay.
And then eventually it dropped, I think it's only to 3 now.
You'd have to learn a lot in 3 years then.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Of course they go to school and things now, but they didn't then. There was no night school, you know, no
Like,
colleges or anything.
or exams, probably.
No,
No.
no.
What about the? Did Mr. Fleming have to pick out a new workshop for your father then? Where was his workshop?
Yes, yeah. There was a big joiner's shop, and next to it was an open store, an open place, like, you know, and they made that as a cooper's shop with a gantry outside for firing. You had a little a shelter with a fire in it where you had to fire your kits, fire them to shape them and shrink.
Oh right, of course, yes. And who made the hoops? Where did you get those from?
We did. We made the hoops, did everything.
So, but that's like a blacksmith's job, isn't it?
Oh, to get the big hoops
Yeah.
that you made, what you put over the fire, the blacksmith made those.
Right.
Because there was a blacksmith at the ice company.
Of course, yes.
He made the hoops, different sizes. And that was, you put them on and you put them over the fire, and it gradually, we'll say you put 5 hoops on, 4 hoops at the beginning, and one was like that from the bottom, and by the time it'd been fired it was right down at the bottom, because you kept hammering them down as, and then eventually when you fired them, then you gradually took one off at a time and made the ordinary hoop, galvanised hoops, and riveted them all together and put them on, you know, hammered them down, tapered them, and
Right.
you know, it was a
Complicated job.
yes.
Yeah. And the firing, it was heat or was it steam?
Heat,
Yeah.
a wooden made by wood, you
Right.
burnt wood,
Mhm.
yes. Yeah.
What kind of wood did you use for the barrels then?
It was just ordinary deal
Mm.
for the barrels, but sometimes we made an oak ones for special job, like, you know.
And they would go out on those trucks.
To go out on the lorries, yes, yeah. Eventually, I think all told, after the war, when things was really busy, I mean, I used to work from, my father as well, from 7 o'clock in the morning till 8:30 at night.
Really? And you were working together, obviously, at
Yes.
you know, for a period of time. When did your father retire?
Well, he didn't, unfortunately. He collapsed at work and
Oh
died.
dear.
He was
What year was that?
1960,
Mm. And then you carried on your own.
yes.
So did you have any help after your father died?
Yes, I had an apprentice.
And what happened to that person?
Well, he was with me for 3 years, and then he joined the army.
Ah,
He wanted a different life altogether, and he joined the army.
so he didn't end up being a cooper.
No.
And that's
no.
why you're the last cooper in Grimsby.
Yes.
Right. So was there a time when the ice factory was still making its barrels and that other company stopped? Was it? Is that how it happened, that you were the last person to be a cooper?
Yes, because what happened was, the coopers, there was 2 or 3 cooperage on the docks, but they used to make herring barrels and ship's buoys and things like that.
Right.
You know, and gradually it died off. But eventually, the last perhaps 5 or 6 years, perhaps a bit longer than that, I made beef casks for the trawlers, because the exchange took the ice company over.
Yes.
And of course the exchange was to do with lots of things on the dock. And so I made beef casks for the trawlers, which were supposed they had to carry, and hide casks, what they put hides in, cow hides,
Yeah.
because they used to put those on the bottom of the trawls.
Did they?
Yeah.
And so they packed them in casks, and then they took them out and.
Yes, they packed them in these casks to keep them wet.
Right.
And the beef casks was what they had to have Board of Trade, because they did that on sailing ships for putting meat in.
For the crew to eat.
For the crews to eat, yeah.
Right.
Salt beef.
Salt beef, and that's how they kept it.
Yeah, salt pork and things, yeah.
Oh, right. And were they different in size from the ice?
Oh, yes, yeah. There was different, yeah.
Right. So but you didn't ever make any herring barrels?
No. I made a lot of flour tubs.
At the ice factory?
At the ice factory,
Did you?
because what happened was we got a new manager, Mr. Haywood.
Was that after Mr. Fleming?
Yes, yeah. Well, after Mr. Fleming, there was old Mr. Fleming, he was there before the war. And then I think he retired. It was during the war, I think. I wasn't there then, I was in the army. His nephew came, that was Mr. Fleming. And then he retired and we got a Mr. Rogers. And he was, well, he was a nice man. He was different to the other managers and things. He used to come and sit and watch you and talk and things. And then he left, or retired, and we got this Mr. Haywood. And he decided that we'd make, well, I think I made him some at first. And he said, well, make some of these. We got oak, went out and bought oak. We went to different places and bought different oaks, and I made hundreds of them.
And the ice factory sold them?
Yeah.
Well, we never knew that.
Yeah. That was in the last, we'll say the last 5 years or so, when Mr. Haywood was there.
Right.
Yeah.
When there was less ice being made.
Yeah.
So where your workshop was, that's not still there, is it?
No,
Those
they pulled
buildings?
it down.
Yeah.
Can you, do you visualise the ice company?
Yes.
Right. Well, there's they made a new engine room with just one big compressor in it. Well, ours was next door to that.
Okay.
But, you know, eventually they pulled that down and just left. Yeah.
Was there anywhere in the factory where people got together and socialised, or was it all separate areas of work?
Well, all the tradesmen had their own locker room, and the icemen and the kitmen, they had theirs downstairs, and then there was a large mess room.
Oh, was there? Whereabouts was that?
Right opposite to where the engine room was. On the, you know, there was a road. Actually, there was, before the war, there was a road went straight through, and you went down the lane right round and come out the other side. But then I think the boat, it was a trawler owners, and they bought all that square, and so, you know, where they had the garages for the lorries and things, and yeah, so.
So, but there was a mess room where people would get together and have their lunch and things?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they didn't serve hot lunch or anything?
Oh no.
You had to bring your own?
Yes, yeah.
Was it a nice crowd? Were they nice people to work with?
Yeah. Yes, we had, yeah. I mean, there was tradesmen, there was bricklayer, plumbers, electricians, 3 or 4 electricians, fitters, joiners, blacksmiths, yeah. It was all a good crowd.
Are there any blacksmiths? Who were the blacksmiths? Is anybody still around?
Oh no, no. They called him Mr. Carrington when I first went there, and then he had an accident and he had to retire. But then instead of having a blacksmith, they had tinsmiths.
Oh, okay.
And they had 2 or 3 tinsmiths and welders. And
Did they go all the way up till the factory closed then?
within 2 or 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
I think they got rid of the tinsmiths and the welder and things, you know. But apart from that, the joiners, electricians, bricklayers and things, it was all there till it closed, yeah.
Yes. Can you remember, this is a question that somebody asked, can you remember what your first wage was when you went there?
Yes.
About 6pence.
It was 10 shillings a week
Well, that's not bad, is
for
it?
49 hours.
As an apprentice?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
For 7 years?
And
Or
then
it would have been, yeah.
yeah, then it went up to 12 shillings
Mm-hmm.
and then 15 shillings. Yeah.
Did you get paid holidays?
Oh no. The not until after the war. We didn't. The docks only closed for 2 days a week. That was Good Friday and Christmas Day.
So, did you get no holidays, or could you take a holiday without pay?
No,
No holidays at all?
no. Just 2 days off a year. Christmas Day and Boxing Day.
My goodness. But that changed after the war?
Yeah, that changed after the war. Yeah,
What did you get then?
a week's holiday.
Mm.
You know. And what they did, so that you couldn't say, right, I want my holidays so and so and so and so, they made a rota from May to September, and each year they moved it up from May. You know, if you had it in May, the next year you had it in June.
Mm-hmm.
And then our union, the Coopers Union, which we belonged to Hull one,
Right.
they got a fortnight's holiday. And we could have 1 week in the summer and 1 week in the winter.
What year was that?
About 1958, something like that.
Okay. Now, were you better off than the electricians?
Yes,
Or- Really?
yeah.
Yeah. Were you the only one that was
was
getting 2 weeks?
Yes, yeah.
My goodness.
And then eventually the old dock tradesmen, they got 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But we was that busy. We'd booked a holiday away, the wife and I and the 2 children by then, to go to Torquay. And I wanted the Saturday morning off to travel down there, and I couldn't have it. No, he says, your holidays don't start till the Sunday. That's how the bosses were in them days.
Strict.
Very strict.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So my friend who knows more about this than I do said that there were some labour disputes on the docks at certain times. Was the ice factory or was your union involved in those?
No, we weren't. Some of the fitters were, you know, but they didn't. It was only properly for a couple of days or so, something like that, you know. But apart from that, you know, most other tradesmen wasn't in that.
So on the docks, everybody was working really hard for eventually 1 or 2 weeks holiday a year, did everybody feel as though they were being well paid, well compensated for that kind of hard work?
Well, the docks always paid £1 more than what it did in town until the factories came, and then they paid bigger wages to get them in, and that's what happened. And they did a lot left to go over there because it was a lot better money.
Yes. So, did that make it difficult for people running businesses on the docks?
Well, I think so, yeah. I know there was 3 of our tradesmen, fitters. There was 2 fitters and a turner left in 1 week, and it really upset them, you know. They left them really short-handed.
Was that in the was that the 60s?
Yes, yeah.
So let me ask you this. So, what was it like in the 1980s when you were coming up to closing down? Was that
Well, I was pretty busy because I was the only one, and I should say that there was 2,000 kits, barrels out, and they used to get broke and destroyed, and they used to bring them in. I used to repair those and make new ones and things.
Mm-hmm.
But after the war, when I went back, for 5 years, we worked, the dad and I worked from 7 in the morning till 8:30 at night for 5 years, non-stop, Saturdays and Sundays.
7 days a week?
7 days a week. On a Saturday we worked till 4:30, and on a Sunday we worked from 8 o'clock till 4. And we did that for 5 years.
Did you feel as though that was that it was still like an extension of the war effort then?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, rebuilding the economy.
Rebuilding, yes,
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the fitters and things, they used to work because they was doing repairs, and there was no engine rooms being built, and
Right.
new joiner's shop being built,
Right.
and things like that. Yeah.
And how? Well, I know you were there in the last week of the ice factory being in production, because we've got the film of you, and when the film was taken in July 1990. But you know, were you sad?
Yes. Actually, I retired in 1988.
Oh,
I was 65 in 88. I'm 91 in a couple of weeks' time.
don't look it.
And when the ice factory closed, they moved my department down to the exchange.
And where was that?
On the docks. Did you know where the oh dear me. I'm just trying to think. Can I? You know Ross House.
Yes.
It was near there.
Okay.
The exchange. That's where their workshops were and things.
So when you were filmed, were you on this film in 19? Well, anyway, you can tell me. But you weren't actually at the ice factory.
Yes,
then?
I was. Yes, I was in the shop, at our Cooper's shop then. But when they closed down, there was still a lot of ice kits and things getting broke. And I went there for. I left there in 19. Well, I was there 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I've had enough, you know. That was it.
Right. So, one of the questions is, did you take away any souvenirs?
Not really, no. I give all my tools to the Heritage Centre.
Did you? Yes.
Yes,
Wonderful. Good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only memories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll enjoy this film.
Ah.
Tell me about some of the people that used to work there that are still around.
Yeah, well, Mike Sanderson, I remember him coming as an apprentice fitter. And after his time, he got called up for national service, and I think he did his 2 year, then came back, and then he worked his way up to a shift engineer, chief engineer. That's how he finished as chief engineer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a nephew that worked there as a fitter.
Right.
He served his time and then left and went.
So it was good training for, in any case, to go off and do another job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's one or two still there, but I never see them now. You know, I don't know where they lived or anything. Yeah. In the 1950, 59, 58, 59, the painter, he got a thing going that we paid £6 a week, and then we had a dinner and dance at Christmas.
Oh, I've seen photographs of those. Yeah.
Yes, I think that went on for 2 or 3 years, and then it fizzled out.
Did it?
Yes, yeah.
Did he leave?
No, Charlie Codd, he retired and he's since died. And
Oh, Charlie Codd. I know his son, Tony Codd. You know Tony?
his son,
Yeah.
no, I don't know him, but I know of him. I knew him when he was a little lad.
Did you? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't know him.
I went to art school with him. That's why.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.